All right, cool. I think we're good. All right, guys. Welcome to the Evolve podcast. I'm Louis, and this is Sam. So Sam and I go way back. We met at uni, met in Thai boxing days, and we're both business owners. Sam owns his business, Anxious Extrovert, and I own my video editing company, Zander Studios. And we've both noticed how a lot of podcasts go into the nitty gritty, but in hindsight. But we're very much in our early stage of our businesses, and we kind of want to add into that as well. So Evolve, the name, actually came off of Sam's business. So Sam, do you want to talk a little bit more about what Anxious Extrovert is and all sorts of stuff?
Of course I want to, Lewis. So Anxious Extrovert in itself is a well-being innovations brand, which basically means there's a small group of us who are good at coding and we like to build well-being tools to help people. I think we've had a few stabs at it. We've started with like a breathing exercise app, got bored of that, canned that. And we then launched Hub, which is what we're working on right now, which is like a content creation kind of platform where well-being specialists can write their own blogs, make their own videos, share on that platform, grow their following. Then we tried to start Evolve in the past. And Evolve was kind of just focused on, all right, well, from my perspective, I'm from the wellbeing specialists I meet on the journey. Let's get them on camera. Let's ask the questions about how they got to where they are in life, to understand more about like what's going on in people's personal lives. At some point, we had a millionaire on, and we kind of talked to him and asked him questions that people don't usually ask to try and understand what his day-to-day is like. You know, they're not so good. But then 4 episodes in, I got just done. 4 episodes in, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Not every Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's because it got boring. And it's not just that it got boring, it got repetitive. The format got pretty much samey. And I wasn't enthusiastic. I also had a lot of stuff going on at the time. I'm doing my PhD at the moment. Well, DBA technically. That's coming to near an end. I just started a full-time job at the same time. And obviously running Anxious Extrovert and keeping this going. And then adding on to that, being regularly available to record content and planning the content and then editing the content afterwards, it's not happening for me. So I paused that, and then I think not at all. So I kind of put a stop to that, and then just thought, leave it for a few months, and then you popped up again in my life. Well, we've met a few times, obviously, but we met like another friend's surprise party, and then you popped up again. And I was just like, Lewis does this media stuff. Lewis does content and likes to do this stuff. Maybe he can keep me motivated to do this. Maybe he can push me along. Then I tapped you on the shoulder. I was just like, yo, do you want to do a podcast? And then you like gassed me. I was like, sweet. Yeah, let's go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah.
I think for me, I mean, it's always something which I have talked about, but I don't think there's not really many people that I would want to kind of do a podcast with, because I want someone who's reliable and consistent, and we actually have something to talk about. Whereas I actually don't think, because we're in a very similar stage, I think we have a lot to talk about, and also like comfortable being like, you know, if we're slacking, I'll be like, we need to kind of, you know, do the thing, because we're kind of wimping about. And I think you respect someone who's very straightforward and upfront. And I think we're very good at although we're like, you know, we're very good friends, I think we can also treat this like as a business. Whereas I think if you, with some friends, if you like, you need to do this, it can get into like, people can take it quite personally and things like that.
Get all upset about it.
Get all upset and all the feelings. The feelings. I thought we were besties. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
No, we're here to make money.
Getting bread.
We're getting bread. What are you doing? Wake up. I don't care what time it is. Wake up. Get your camera on.
Yeah, but no, I think it came at I think this has come about at a very good time for me as well. So just to kind of my perspective of how this came about, as well as, because obviously I started as Zander Studios, video editing company, just because I was interested in video editing and film. And so that's kind of my after work evenings, sort of weekends, sort of like side hustle. I know that's a very like buzzwordy term and I hate saying it, but that's kind of true. And for me, I'm always reading sort of like self-improvement books and stuff, you know, listening to Huberman podcasts and everything like that. And when you mentioned that Evolve was about knowledge sharing, and I actually was speaking to my girlfriend about this as well, because I wanted to do something with all the things that I've been reading, because even at work, people know I read a lot. I have like a stacked shelf of books and things like that. And I was like, there's probably a lot of people who want to consume this knowledge, but I am happy to kind of be a vessel to kind of pass what I've learned from all these great authors and business people and all that sort of stuff. So for me, this has been quite a good outlet to kind of help me feel like I'm passing on stuff that I've learned to people who, you know, not everyone loves to read, not everyone loves to listen to a 3-hour podcast, and things like that. Also because of, we can kind of make it relevant to the stages that we're in, very early business, and a lot of people kind of thinking, oh, I want to start, and I don't know how. And we can tell you what that's actually like, because I think about, oh, how am I going to start pretty much every day when it comes to, you know, getting to doing editing and thinking about the stuff I want to do with my business. So yeah, when you hit me up to do this, I was like, this would be sick. And, you know, it will hone my editing skills, things like that, help me improve social media. And obviously I know that, you know, we can work together quite well to be consistent. So Sam, on to you.
Yes.
What can the people expect from this podcast? What do you want this to look like?
I mean, informal business development advice is probably one of the main thing. Informal motivational advice, and just straight up, once again, just an informal conversations between two business friends who have spent. We've been friends for bloody years. I was trying to work out. We've been friends for... I actually thought about this the other day. I met you 10 years ago. I met you in 2014. Yeah, literally, I was like, we've been friends for 10 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's actually gross.
No, we've seen too much. We've seen way too much together. Maybe the next few episodes people can learn what we've seen. The world of Trent University. Jesus Christ.
That's a different podcast.
There's no motivation.
That's cancelled in 10 minutes.
But yeah, in general, I think informal's the key. Informal's the key word there.
Yeah.
And it's just advice and just following our path. Of course, we'll be keen to as this podcast goes on, we'll be keen to learn from our audience what they're going through, and we'll probably start some kind of, I don't know, whether it's Discord or Patreon, or I'll probably just make a whole website for it. But we'll get that space ready where we can talk to our followers and our members, whatever term we want to use for them in the future. And we'll hear back from them, and maybe we can share our journeys, our development journeys together. And that's why I kind of see this being, it also, I mean, when you go public about stuff like that, it kind of keeps you in check, because you know that if you fail, everyone's going to know you failed. If you do well,
absolutely.
Absolutely well.
That's why I think it's a slight different edge, because
yeah,
like I said earlier, like a lot of podcasts are like, oh yeah, I remember when I started 20 years ago, but like a good sort of like segment we're going to have, if you call it a segment, is, you know, I'm going to be like, so how have things been with your business? And
yeah,
you know, some weeks we might be like, you know what, I actually did nothing and I feel really shit about it. But that's the thing, it's going to keep us in check.
True.
But
true. I mean,
that's the thing, because I can't publicize that.
Dude, one thing that's going to be interesting is, like, you know, because you've still got 9 to 5, haven't you? You're still working.
Yeah, 9 till 6. 9 to 5's a good day. Yeah.
Same, mine's like 9 to 9 on those days. Hey, no one appreciating that, manager. Anyway, but no, a part of me is like, imagine people at work finding out about this or hearing this. And I'm actually ready to just, no shame, like, don't piss me off during my day. I'm going to air out my feelings on the pod. People will know.
That's what it's for, because I think that's what's good, is that we're trying to build something whilst doing, you know, the 9 to 6, because
it's authentic as well.
That's
like,
the only
I don't
way,
want to filter anything.
We're going to be able to do it.
It has to be real.
And because we're going to have to record. Yeah, we're going to have to record when we've done a 9 till 6, and, you know, it's going to come down that day, and I'm not going to be in the most chunky mood.
And come off like from the TV and just be like, these dickheads, these fucking dicks. They're testing me, Lewis. They're testing me. Do they not know? I mean, there's also fitness goals. I mean, I'm on my my fat loss journey. I'm trying to cut down to, you know, sleek, young uni Sam. So I'm turning 30 next year. I've only just worked out recently. So in my head, I'm 28, and I've constantly always got 2 years left.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Bro, fuck you. I'm turning 20. I'm turning 29 this year, and my fiance literally just reminded me that, oh, you know, you turn 30 next year. I was just there like, no, I'm 28. How does that work out? She's like, no, you turn 29 this year. You turn 30 next year. And then I thought back to, I'm already getting back problems. My knee hurts. I can't run anymore. It's like, Lewis, I'm old. I need to save myself. So fitness goals is coming on. How we track that, I don't know. But fitness goals is coming in.
Yeah, I think that's what's also good is, you know, how do you juggle, like you said, you have a fiance, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, how do you juggle your 9 till 6? You've got to get your 8 hours sleep. You've got to stay in shape. You know, you've got to keep all these friendships, and also you've got to then make time for yourself to relax, but then also make time to build your career and your business and all that sort of thing. So for me, I want to be very authentic about that sort of stuff. So, I mean, just to make a pivot, because you mentioned your fitness journey. So I'm doing a London Marathon again. And
good luck.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
But, you know, I woke up this morning because I did 20 miles yesterday, and I was like, I've got to record today, and I've got to like get in the mood to do it. So, like,
yeah,
you know, it's juggling all these things as well. And I think we'll go into in later podcasts, episodes like about you know, relationships and building a business, because, you know, that's usually something which is always viewed as a either or kind of trade-off, because, you know, you want to make time for your loved one, but also sometimes you get into a flow state and you want to work for 36 hours. I don't recommend it, but that's
I'm
for
not
some
going to
people.
lie though. I mean, I'm happy to talk about that a bit more on this, to be fair, because balancing, when people ask, what do I do? I've dwindled it down to 3 things. Also, I saw on TikTok that guys apparently never do this. And now I've stopped doing that. And now I keep doing this when I say 3. I don't know why. Anyway, distractions. 3 things. I've definitely got ADHD. I've definitely got
Your
ADHD.
intrusive thoughts are winning.
Literally, they're winning today. Anyway, back on the path. So I always put myself down as like, I do 3 things. I'm a PhD student / DBA, because most people don't know what DBA is. Doctorate in Business Administration, if you care to know. But it's basically a doctorate. So I say PhD to make it easy for people to understand. So I've got that. I'm also an entrepreneur. But when you say that out loud, it sounds like, oh, so you ain't got a job. You just set up limited companies for banter.
I'm going to ask you I'm glad that you said that. I'm going to ask you that, but yeah, keep going.
No worries.
I'm going to ask you a question.
So I'm an entrepreneur, and I have to like obviously describe it straight away. So I've got a wellbeing innovations company called Eps Every Friday. Then I usually like send them to the website, because, you know, got to get the analytics up. And then the last bit is I'm a full-time product manager. And then usually the question that follows on is like, how do you balance all of that? And it's just like, I don't do it perfectly. I try, but I'm not perfect at it. And a lot of it just involves waking up earlier than the average person and going to sleep later than the average person. And then making sure at some point in that week, I've got enough rest to actually be a healthy person to do the whole process again the following day. So that's literally it. Those are 3 things. Of course, there's like loads of stuff I do in between that. Like, I don't know, I've started trading. I started building expert advisors to trade with and all this stuff. Like, I take my skill sets in other areas. But that's not important. That's not like the big thing I have to talk to people about. It's the 3 things. When everyone asks, what do you do? I go straight to my list of 3. I'm a PhD student, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a product manager. And then that's more or less it. And then people like gas, like, oh, you're so smart. And like, in my head, I'm like, they don't know.
Yes.
They don't know this. They don't know the stress. They don't know the stress I go through. Like, they don't know. I've got my fiance like, let's go on a date night. And I'm just here like, I need to make money. Let me make my money. It's like, but yeah, that's the life anyway. What were you going to ask?
I was going to ask you, if people were to ask you if you're an entrepreneur, what would you say? But you already answered my question.
Yeah,
because
no, it's literally, I have to go straight into describing it.
Yeah, because for me, because I literally was like, would I consider myself an entrepreneur? Because someone, by definition, it's by someone who owns a business with risk, but I wouldn't describe myself as an entrepreneur. And I think it's probably because social media has ruined the word. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That's probably it. And I know that the perceptions behind it are like, oh, so you just kind of do that and, you know, you say, oh, I got a brand deal with whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's how people think, but for me, I wouldn't introduce myself as an entrepreneur to someone. And maybe that's me protecting my own sort of like feelings. But I would just say like I own a business and I also have a full-time job. And I'll say I own a business in video editing. I consider myself more of a video editor who also works full-time as opposed to the business owner. But I think that's because I'm also in the service industry in video editing. Whereas I feel like when people think entrepreneur, you think like Stephen Bartlett or, you know, you think of like Apple.
So you can't say you're an entrepreneur until like your idea makes millions. Like, I don't get that. It's like, what? It's got to start somewhere.
I know, but the thing is, I would not. I know deep down that I would not say I'm an entrepreneur until I've quit my full-time job, and I think for me, relying on my business for my own livelihood, I think that is probably a main key component. Because obviously a component of the definition of entrepreneur is taking risk. And for me, the biggest risk is quitting my job and relying on my business to make sure I live. And that to me is kind of where it takes place, because I'm having to use my skills to survive. And for me, that's kind of like, for me, it's a core part of it. I don't care what investor opinion or that people say. But for me, I don't think I would say that until I'm relying on my business and I'm not relying on a company to give me my salary. If that makes sense.
I see what you mean.
A lot of people probably disagree with that, and people say, like, no, it's because you own a business. But a lot of people can own a business. I think a lot of people can own a business. A lot of people are entrepreneurs.
I'd say,
and
like,
that's maybe controversial, but
I get that because for me, I'm waiting for one of these three. I mean, being a full-time product manager thing is probably the first thing that will go once I feel like I've secured my bag, I'm stable, and it's part of my journey of learning and discovering. So for me, my primary focus is being an entrepreneur, so making sure my business is actually profitable, making sure that it's reaching the goals that we've set for it, which is to actually help people discover new well-being opportunities, experiences around them. But no buts. It's kind of, there's a hierarchy to it, and the entrepreneurial stuff is at the top for me, and the one below that is my research, which is focused on Gen Z financial marketing, and then below that would be my full-time job, right? But then the amount of dedication I put to each one at the moment is equal. So like 9 to 5, the company I work for has my time. Before 9, I'm probably doing entrepreneurial stuff, and in the evenings I'm doing my research work, which is like, it just can be a bit demanding. But right now I have to call myself an entrepreneur more for motivational thing for myself. It's kind of like you've got a goal to hit, you've got something to actually work towards. Don't forget about that, because it gets really easy when you have a full-time job as well, which pays like okay, and you get really comfortable with that. But like, I have to remind myself that, hey, like, you've got a path to follow. You're not here to get comfortable. You've got stuff to do, and each of those three things lends something to my entrepreneurial goal. Like being a product manager, of course, like gets me comfortable with being able to have the technical discussions, gets me like, and it gets my mind in a space where I want to do like the tech work, and I want to learn about the code that we use in our systems and all that stuff. That's more the product owner's role, but still, I'm in that space where I can have these conversations. I can develop my understanding of like APIs, how they work in a business sense. And then I can bring some of those learnings into my own business and kind of go, okay, what can we do to improve the security here? Because I've learned from my day job that this is the better thing to do. So that's like a benefit of that. And obviously the research work, it really just gives me a strong understanding of how the next generation thinks and operates. And that's what Anxious Extrovert's kind of targeted more at. It's meant to help everyone, but it targets more the Gen Z or or generation. So yeah, that everything like connects back to the entrepreneurial route. But at some point, I know I'm gonna have to like slowly cut things off. Obviously, the research will finish hopefully this year, and then I can officially graduate next year. And then next will probably be like the full-time job to go. And then at some point, I have to now accept that this is the life now. This is the like side quest life. Do the Snoop Dogg stuff, like turning up and doing random stuff, but making sure that it all lends to my entrepreneurial goal.
Yeah,
and
just being a fortnite, just being a Fortnite skin for no reason, just for bread.
Literally, just turn up and start baking on camera because I felt like it today. That's the real dream. What about you? What about you when it comes to like your goals and like your life plan, the path you've got?
I mean, I think I say this a lot, like in terms of the more time I have, the better. And what I mean by that is when I have less time dedicated to a full-time job, I can put more time into my business, more time to do this podcast, and I have more time to, you know, have fun and do that sort of stuff as well. I don't see myself being a business owner with a lot of staff. And Timothy Army, he's a great entrepreneur who I follow on Instagram, because a lot of people say, oh, I want to be a business owner, I want to be my own boss. But he says that's a really, really bad reason to become a business owner, because if you're a business owner and you have 70 employees, you have 70 bosses. And if you have investors, they are who you report into. So, because you have to care about the well-being, you have to make sure they all get paid, all sort of stuff. And that's a lot of pressure. So in terms of what I want, I mean, I want for like flexibility of choice. So with video editing, I hopefully want to be able to, you know, get to a point where I get to a point, where I can choose which projects that I want to be a part of, be that short films, film features, film trailers, things like that, because those are the things that I really enjoy doing and I really enjoy editing. So getting to a point where I can kind of like pick and choose projects that I want to do, and I don't necessarily have to be there. I'm not necessarily a fan of going into the office every day. I know it's for some people, but I work really well in my own space and getting into a flow state and just editing once I get into that state. So if I can just take my laptop and cut stuff wherever, that is the flexibility that I wish to have, with very minimal people to deal with. I used to very much I'm going to get into this now. I used to very much like, you know, you look into, you know, your social media, sort of like famous entrepreneurs, business owners and things like that. And, you know, you see them in Maldives with the slide and all that sort of stuff and the cars, but they also have to deal with a lot of people. And that's not something that I really want to do. And a lot of people actually get to the point where they're still a CEO and things like that, but they still don't enjoy their job. And they don't really necessarily feel fulfilled. So I had this sort of pivot in my mindset I think it was probably last year, because I used to just be focused on money and money equaled fulfillment, and that's definitely not true. Like doing what I do now, working at advertising, I could definitely build a thicker skin to tolerate dealing with, you know, assholes at work and climb the ladder. But I actually don't want to climb that ladder. So, and that's like the biggest realization, because, you know, I used to just move jobs and earn more money, but the more money I was earning in corporate jobs, the more miserable I was actually getting, because I wasn't enjoying the work that I was doing, and I don't believe that it's as impactful.
Doesn't it upset you when, because one thing I found is like during the 9 to 5, like during the full-time day, and it's coming across like we hate our jobs. I actually do love my job. I do love the team I work with. But one thing that really does bother me is when someone in that company, their whole life is their job role, right? Their whole life is like where they work. 9 to 5, they are this person that works in this role. Every other time they either go for a walk with their family or doing something casual, but that's the whole realm. And I've started to learn that, especially older people, that people who are older than me, I've started to learn that they take it a type of way. Like it's almost like it bothers them that like you're doing this and that on top of this, what they see as their whole life. And especially when you do it a bit better than them, it's almost like it hurts them. And I don't understand why it hurts someone so much, because it's more like, okay, like no offense, but I'm doing my own thing. You're doing yours. You want these promotions, you go get it.
Absolutely.
I don't
I'm
step
not
on my toes on that journey because like you feel some kind of jealousy or something towards it.
Absolutely. I'm not. What I definitely want to make clear is that if you are fully fulfilled in your 9 to 5, that is perfect. And I think that's really great. And that's for some people. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. The reason why I want to, the reason why I started my video editing company alongside this is because I didn't go to film school and things like that to kind of pivot into that career. So the only way for me to enter that career is to now work on that outside of my role to then kind of do a very, very far horizontal kind of crossover. Because they will hopefully, if the company goes the way I want it to go, the company doesn't need to exist anymore because I can just be a video editor at a cool publishing company. So that could also be the way that I will exit, is that I can just be a video editor at a film studio, but the company might exist if I would just want to do my own private projects or just freelance, and the company again doesn't need to exist. But yeah, just to come back to the point, I think fulfillment is just the main thing, and I haven't felt fulfilled, unfortunately, in any of the jobs that I've had. And that's just how it is. But the jobs are good. Like, they fund my lifestyle. I very much enjoy where I live. It enables me to, go on holidays and do whatever. And I know I'm in a very much privileged position. So whilst I am grateful for my job, I still want to do something else. And I think some people can mistake what we could be saying as companies are great and all, but you've got to build your own business and you've got to be awake for 36 hours. And that's definitely not the case, because I definitely I think you're very much the same. People think, you've got to work till 4 a.m. and things like that to get what you want, which I hear you, but at the same time, I'm not doing a business to run myself into the ground and burn myself out. I'm very much about balance, and I want to do this in the healthiest way as possible. Yes, I've done late nights, of course. I'm not perfect by any means, but I think one of the things which I think has died down a little bit less, but I think definitely over the course of the few years, is that business ownership and entrepreneurship has been romanticized too much. And in addition to that is, romanticizing lack of sleep as like a trophy. It's like, I only got 4 hours sleep last night because I was doing this. And that's not healthy. Like, I think particularly over the past year, just because I have I'm not going to say the brand name because they're not paying us to mention them, but ever since having a fitness lifestyle band on my wrist, I know how sleep is good for me. And, during the course of marathon training as well, I haven't had alcohol since mid-Jan, and I now know too much. And the thing is, I've been really productive since cutting out alcohol and things like that. So, I want to do this in the most healthy way as possible. And I don't think me working till 4 a.m. at night to then wake up at 8 a.m. and be an arsehole to everybody is going to put me in the best light of mood. And, I think I want to do this when I'm most of the time in a happy mood. There's a book that I want you to read. It's Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal.
Let me make a note.
It's very, very good. We can go into that in a second.
Is it an audio book?
I think he has got an audio. I think there's an audiobook of it as well.
Yeah, send me a link for that.
Yeah, I will do.
I am so dyslexic.
Honestly, you know what? It's actually quite funny you mentioned audiobooks, because like when I'm at work, I usually will put on a podcast or an audiobook to feel like I'm being somewhat productive in terms of what I can do for my business and my editing. And I try and, because I can't just pull up Premiere Pro at work. Like, I just can't do that. I mean, I could, but I won't.
Could work from home.
I could.
Just sat there in my lunch break, like, I'm doing better things
But
right now. Okay, Timothy.
but it's quite yeah, that's something that's quite to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, Feel Good Productivity is a great book, and he talks about
Okay.
how the secret to productivity is actually probably happiness, as opposed to the other side of the coin, which is the discipline narrative. And I think you need to find a fine line between doing the hard things when you don't feel like it, as well as, you know what is a way that I can come to the side hustle today in a positive light, or what are the things that are going to put you in the best mood to be the most productive in this hour? Because most days when I write down in my, because I journal like every day, and it's like, okay, I need to edit today, and it's like I'm just sitting here and it's like I just need to open Premiere Pro, and that can take me hours just to go on to the course that I'm learning and just do it. And even though it's something I want to do, why would I want to do it? And that's still something which I'm trying to learn. So yeah, it's interesting, man.
I do have a question. With all the stuff you're doing, what are like, actually, maybe I should, what are your biggest fears? And I've said plural because it's usually like one thing the person's worried about on their journey. But what are your biggest fears on this path?
That's a very good question. You know what it actually probably is? I don't want to find out what I could have done, and I just don't want to have any sort of regrets about not trying long enough. No regrets.
Yeah. No regrets.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know. I think it's probably, yeah. I really don't want someone to come up to me and be like, "Oh, Lewis, if only you stuck with this, like, oh, I could have got you in on this," or something like that. And I'm just like, ah, or I don't think it's failure. With failure, I think it's only failure if you finally like stop trying. And I think I can't remember where I heard this, but it's like, it's not called failure, it's called like attempts. So I keep attempting things and pivoting and trying out. I don't think pivoting is a form of failure. I think that's just another attempt. But in terms of fear, I think if I one day just feel like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop and just never do anything. I think if I'm ever in that mindset, I think that's quite a deep hole to get out of. To put a more realistic fear coming into my head, this is probably actually the most real one. I don't want to end up doing a job or career that I hate for the rest of my life. Yeah. That is the biggest one. I'm not saying doing a 9 to 6 is like my biggest fear. It's definitely not. I think if I'm like 50 odd and I'm doing a 9 to 6 and reporting into someone who I really dislike, with people who I don't like, with a job that I don't necessarily believe in or enjoy, that is it's probably my biggest motivator for doing things like this. So I think it's a combination of carrot and stick for the motivations for doing things like, you know, the pod with you, for video editing, because I just want to feel fulfilled more days than days that I don't. So doing things like this feel really good. I feel like it has more purpose. So I think, living a purposeful life would be that's like the main goal. I don't want to, like, no one's going to be like, oh, yes, Lewis, he was a really good campaign manager for 40 years. Like, that is gross. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that on my tombstone. It's like, he was so good at building media plans. Like, I know I'm sending shots at my job right now, but you asked me what my biggest fear was. So, I think doing something that isn't necessarily meaningful in my job. I'm not saying I want to, you know, I must leave my mark on the world and all that sort of stuff. I don't think my plans are that grand. But I think doing things like this help people along the way. If we get a decent like following, that would be great. And if we help out even like one person, I think that would be pretty awesome. Be like, you know what, this actually really helped me to get started and do my own thing. It brings a smile to my face, like thinking about that.
Good.
So, and I think that fulfills that arc of, you know, things I'd like to do. And money, you need money. You do. As much as it's not all about money, you do need money if you want to have more freedom in some ways. You know, if you want a nice house and you want to take holidays, you want to travel and stuff like that, and you want the wife and you want the kids, you need money. So money is a motivator. It would be stupid to say that it wasn't. So that's a particular aspect of motivation as well. But yeah, I've gone off on a tangent. But what about you? What are your fears and motivators?
I actually have two. And the first one comes off the back of what you were saying about about being remembered for something, right? I would hate to only be known for being good at one thing. I hate putting myself into like a box or being like perfectly fitted as like Sam who does coding and that's all I'm known for, or Sam the really good product manager and that's all I'm known for. It really scares me. The reason why is because like the future's so dynamic. I'd hate to be put in a position where I am no longer relevant in terms of like being able to offer something to society. I'd hate to like be so perfect at one job, I'm terrible at all the others, or I'm unable to transfer my skills into other things I need to do to basically keep myself going. Because one thing I've realized is I'm not the kind of person who naturally enjoys taking a break. I have to be forced into taking a break. So I'm generally like scared about my pension because one day I'm going to go on pension. One day the world's going to expect me to rest, and I'm not going to do that. I've got this in my head. It's like, I'm not going to do it. My retirement plan is being a professor at uni. That is generally my retirement plan. I'll still have money saved, but I'm going to be the old Donny coming in on a wheelchair, a swagway, just come in and just be like, right, phone this out window, sit down. Let's talk about life and how crap the economy is or something. I don't. Yeah. And that's my fear. My fear is being like put into a corner where I can't benefit society in any way. Another fear I have is dying and dying knowing that there's something more I could have done. So because of that, I like to keep working. Because in my head right now, like, God forbid, like, let me find some wood, touch some paper, touch wood.
I'm sorry. I have to do it.
Shut the fuck up. You got me. But like my biggest fear is like I could die tomorrow, and I'll die as like someone who hadn't achieved anything or wasn't working towards something. I like to be known as someone who's a go-getter, and even if like I pass on the journey towards success, I'd be happy knowing that at least I was trying to do something with my life. You see what I mean?
I was just about to say that. I definitely think, because I'm going to ask you this question as well, but just before I do, for me, I definitely remember for trying and like not quitting on things and always trying to do things. And I hate the thought of someone thinking I was lazy. Because I know I'm not. I definitely know I'm not lazy by any means. I have the lazy moments for sure, but I don't really know someone who just wasn't motivated to do anything.
Do you know what I love? I love when people. I don't mind people thinking I'm lazy for one reason.
You love proving them wrong, though.
Exactly, and I love doing it whilst I make it look easy because that pisses people off even more. So of course, I care if certain people, when I've got like my end of year review or something, I don't want people sat there thinking you're lazy. What I do love doing is like doing better work than someone else, but then them calling me lazy because then low key I'm just sat there like, well, do better then. If I'm the lazy one, the fuck are you doing? Because I'm doing better than you. If I'm the lazy one, what does that say about you? I love that. I love that. But before you go into your point, I think what's going to carry on from my point is that one of the saddest things I see is when you go into a supermarket and I see like an elderly person that should be enjoying their life and they're just stacking shelves or they're pushing stuff along or they're like doing when I'm buying my energy drink and I need to do like the check 25 because I've got like a Monster or Red Bull or something, right? And then they come and do it and it makes me really sad. Like sometimes it makes my eyes water because I'm just like, equally, they might be happy in their own journey. They might be a millionaire
Yeah,
and they just want to like,
I
I'm bored
yeah,
at home,
honestly,
so I'm going
I
to work and
think
see. It just makes me sad. It makes me sad.
yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, but also they might love doing that because
True.
it's their own
True. Yeah.
interaction. But I hear where you're coming from because I think I had a teacher at my my upper school or high school, whatever you call it, but for me it was an upper school, and
Yeah. You
he
posh as hell.
I can't remember,
Excuse me.
but
Most people say secondary school. Most people in the UK say secondary school. This guy went through high school and upper school.
no,
Mister,
it
what
was
school did you
lower,
go
it
to?
was lower, it was lower, middle, and upper. Yeah, a guy in teacher in upper school, like he sold part of his company. I think he had some patent to something, and he made millions off it, and then became like a science teacher out of school.
Damn.
So he wanted to teach just because he was like, well, I've made bread now. So
That's the you know one kid at school just like, I want to be a businessman, sir. I want to make more money than you, and he just started like, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Timothy,
but
who doesn't know how to spell his name, okay, good for you.
why is it Timothy all the time?
Oh,
There's a Timothy. There's a Timothy you work with. Yeah, but
no, I don't actually work for anyone called Timothy. That's probably why I'm using it. And then my go-to like old annoying white lady name is like Deborah.
Deborah, like Deborah.
I'm so someone's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I know, probably. But yeah, game's the game. So going back to like school days and things like that, how were you in school? Like, where do you think your sort of business drive came from? Like, do you think it's like part school, part home, like in terms of like family?
You know what? My business drive, I honestly say, it comes from, I have a serious problem with authority. And I know we talked about earlier about don't start a company because you want to be your own boss, and that's not why. But I also know I hate being told what to do when someone doesn't give me like the due care to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that was a massive problem for me in school because people naturally just thought I was stupid. People just thought like teachers and everything just naturally thought I was dumb. I was dumb as a bag of rocks, right? And I just felt like any teacher that took time to understand me and actually like took time to explain stuff to me and taught down to my level, I actually did really well in their class. But any teacher who didn't do that, I just naturally just started quitting. I just like, nah, I can't be arsed. So for me, the business I looked at my dad, who, I'm not gonna lie, he's good at certain things, but yeah, his educational capabilities were also like as low as mine were, to be honest. And he's made success out of it. I mean, a lot of it is in Ghana, and he's like got motels and stuff built. But he seemed very much like find your own path. And I put that in my head. Yeah. One thing I realized, especially moving from Ghana to the UK, is that people won't always accept me for who I am. Like, and it's just the way life is sometimes, right? So what I realized was like, I need to get myself in a position where I can build my own path and get over any barriers. And that's where like the business side of my brain came in. Also, I was just fascinated about that stuff. Not even for the money. I was fascinated around like business theories. I was fascinated about like the formation of companies and like getting things going, making that money, yes, but like what the skills that come with being like a business person or entrepreneur is all about being a really good people person, being approachable. These were all skills that like I aspired to have, whether it was like I wanted to be a popular kid, I wanted to be good at sport or something. A lot of the skills I was learning in my business classes were linked around like how to essentially manipulate people, really, but how to get people to buy into your ideas and support you. And I felt like these were things that would help me socially anyway. So I got really fascinated with business. I think it also helped that my secondary school and my sixth form were both business schools. So I was really like in an environment where like the school actively was like, learn about money, learn about the economy, learn about, we had a class called citizenship, where we learned about like home finances and stuff. So when people are like, oh, I didn't learn about loans and stuff, like we learned about it in our school. And then in my sixth form, we got to do like an IFS certificate really and all that stuff. Bro, this one, we got IFS certificate, which is like a Royal Institute program. I actually ended up going to do the diploma version of that as well. And it was basically like financial literacy course. And I got to learn about the different types of bank accounts you can have, all that stuff. And it was basically a class where I can sit there and talk about ideas that in my brain I had a direct connection to success with in my head. The other thing that I think got me into business was more, it was back to like knowing that I can control my own path a bit better. I didn't know I was dyslexic until the last term of my final year at uni. No, sorry.
Oh wow.
I didn't know I was dyslexic until the last time of my masters. Actually,
Oh
I think it
damn.
was the last time of my masters. I think that was when I found. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, last term of my masters when I found out I was dyslexic, and that was mad because what I was really bad at English. I was really good at maths. I never revised for a single maths exam, and I still somehow got a B in GCSE. I didn't revise a single thing. I just turned up, took the exam, got a B. My teacher was so surprised because she told me I was going to fail. And then she had to apologize to me, which was even funnier because I didn't tell my mum yet. And I was looking at her like, watch me tell my mum now.
Oh
See what happens to you. And she's like, Sam, I'm so sorry. But like, because of that, I found school like, I was always in my own head processing things differently. The world didn't make sense to
yeah.
me. So I was always trying to like do the subjects that help me understand the world better. And business did. Business taught me like the social skills and stuff I needed to cover that general education programs wasn't helping me do. And I just fell in love with that. I fell in love with the fact that I didn't have to deal with authority figures that didn't have the time or care to respect me and actually teach me properly. It helped me. It gave me it put me in a mindset of like being able to motivate myself to learn the stuff I need to learn to get far in life. So that's pretty much why, like, when it comes to education, why I love business so much. I'll give that question back to you though, because you went to upper school, so I want to learn how that posh education.
Wow.
Works.
Wow. I mean, honestly, like I wasn't interested in business or starting a business only until a couple of years ago. To kind of yeah, give a summary. So I mean, in school I was very much like a B student, like, but I never really was good at any apart from like English. So I actually was quite good at English at school. Like GCSEs I got like A's, but A levels I got like B's, and like a C in economics. But like I tried to try really, really hard, and I think I had the studying hard part down, but I didn't study smart. So I would just be in the library. I was literally in sixth form. I was such a little loser. Like my mate, my boys are gonna listen to this. They're gonna remember this. But like in year 13, like, I would be in the library on my lunch breaks, like studying.
You were a
For, like,
library
the
kid.
whole. I was library. I was in the library being like such a tryhard to then like get these, and my flatmate Ricky, like he would study, but like he was also like very naturally academic, but like we got the same grades, and like I studied really hard. So
you had a flatmate in sixth form.
no, sorry.
Or was this at uni?
My current
flatmate now. I was going to say, like, what
school
is this? This boy flats. Who's doing this? You must be so posh. I was taking 2 buses to get to sixth form, and you're not my flatmate. Lucky guy.
No, but so in terms of like studying hard and like trying hard, that's been sort of like my default to do well. I think there were a lot of kids in my school who, you know, didn't need to try as hard in school and get like all A's, or studied a bit and got all A's. I always find it quite hard to digest information that well. The only way that I showed any sort of academic excellence, if that's what you would call it, was at uni, because I was like, I need to get a first here, otherwise I will want to chop off my arm. So I think, yeah, trying hard has always been the default. So I think that's been quite good for my sort of like career path into business, because it's just been my default to kind of put in the work. And I think that translated quite well into, I think one day it kind of like clicked, because also, like, you know, my dad has been a business owner, my brother has his own company as well, so they've been, obviously they're big inspirations of mine as well, but they've never been one to kind of like push become a business owner. They're kind of like, do what you want. So that it's been quite good that they've been accepting of like whatever it is that I want to do. It just so happened, like, because I now know what I want to do, it's kind of been translated into that. So translating those kind of like those school times of being like, okay, I have to put in the effort and try to like figure this out, it's now kind of translated into forming the editing company, because that's just the route that I have to take. So because I was never one to be like, dude, I remember like I finally got some like freelance work last year by a friend of mine, Ian. Shout out Ian. And I was like, dude, like I've done this work for you, but how do I invoice you? Like, how do I get paid? I literally had no clue. I was like, I'm gonna be completely real with you. What's next? Like, and the thing is, Ian was like very sound, like he taught me through and all that sort of stuff. But I was just like Googling, like, okay, how am I actually gonna figure this out and get money and figure all this sort of stuff? So yeah, so I think it's been a combination of not feeling as fulfilled in like my 9 till 6. I've always been able to kind of like put in the extra, and it not necessarily go well. Like I didn't even get the grades that I wanted to for A level. Like I've never really got the grades I ever set out for until uni. So I think it's put on quite a thicker skin than normal, because I got used to failure as it were, because I was quite used to setting out for goals academically and not achieving them and kind of pivoting and be like, all right, what's next? So I think that's kind of translated well into kind of like just dealing with when shit goes wrong, because to be honest, not to sound like a pessimist, but I'm always prepared for worst case scenario. Like we could accidentally delete this whole podcast right now and I'd be able to deal with it because I'm always prepared for shit. I know you'd be gutted. You'd be
so
pissed.
Louis, tell me how I'm gonna get this hour back of my life. You have wasted an hour of my time, sir. No,
but the thing is, I'm very much just like me and my flatmate this too much now. We just get game to game like every single time to everything, and it's just like
bro.
Shit, and like shit happens, and we just got to deal with it. And I think because of like that's been like my default to just be like, what is the worst case scenario for this situation? Will I be able to deal with it? Yes. And it talks about this as well in the Ali Abdaal book. It's like, will this matter in I think it gets like, will this matter in 10 hours? Will it matter in 10 days? Will this matter in 10 weeks? I could be paraphrasing, but essentially you got to put what you give a shit about right now. Is it going to matter in a week's time? And I think that's kind of when I saw that on paper, I pretty much figured out that's pretty much how my brain kind of analyzes situations. Obviously, I don't want shit to happen, but I'm prepared for it to. Yeah, and I know some people read that as like that's a really sad way to live, and but I don't want to live in optimistic delusion, because if 100 people are in a room and it's set on fire, you don't need another person saying the room's on fire. We all know it's on fire.
True.
Like,
so I need you to tell me how to get out. Get me out.
Yeah. Like, how about we actually focus on surviving as opposed to being like, there's a fire.
I like that.
So, and I think this is something which I've been chatting to my girlfriend about, is because like yesterday we were setting up to go for our long runs, and she called me like really like sort of like like fed up because like her hydration pack like split or something like that, or hydration pack vest or something like that, and like water went all over the vest. She was like, I'm trying to dry it, but I might just run tomorrow. And I was like, you're gonna waste the whole day, like, because she said, I want to be comfortable for the run. I was like, the run's not going to be comfortable. just do it anyway. It's like if the bag's wet, use it anyway. Like, shit happens, like, let's just get on with it, because otherwise you're gonna have the same issue tomorrow because you have a run to do. So I don't know, that's just like, I might seem harsh, but I think that's kind of like how I operate in terms of rolling with the punches, because shit's gonna happen, like, and I think it's best to be prepared to deal with that. So
deal with it, to be honest. Yeah, just firm it. So thinking back to simple question, to be honest, and I'm gonna ask it directly because I assume it's the case for most people. How did it feel after all those sessions trying to get it first at uni? How did it feel when you got to work and realized that the grades actually don't matter? Like, the piece of paper stops mattering once you've got the job. How did that feel? And did you feel that that was the case, actually?
To be honest, I had been told by my dad and my brother from young that my degree will only matter until that point. So I was completely fine with that because that was my expectation. That's the whole reason why, like, I knew my degree wasn't going to matter for shit for a very, very long time. And that's just the way it goes. But because I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily at that point, and I knew I wanted to do something somewhat in business. Turns out it's completely wrong. I should have done like some video editing stuff, but that's fine.
Media studies or something.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was told that was the term Mickey Mouse degree. So I wanted something which was safe, not offending anyone that does media studies, but that's what they're saying. That's what the streets are saying. But it's not me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop us getting cancelled, man. But like honestly, going back, I probably should have done it. I probably should have done it. It probably would have been the best thing to do.
A crap ton of like recent graduates with like the camcorders and Polaroid cameras stood outside shouting like, "Get Lewis!"
Yeah, I know.
Get out.
But I think going back, that probably would have been the best thing for me. But I knew that. But the thing is, when I was doing my degree, I was always doing something else. I was doing some stuff for Bloomberg, for like on campus. I also did the year out placement year. So my brother told me like get companies on your CV before you graduate because it will help you get a job, and it did. It got me a job very quick.
Definitely.
So the degree kind of has just gone out the window, to be completely honest. But how did it feel for you?
Well,
because you've done every single degree under the sun.
I'm catching them like Pokemon right now. So my family are very like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be something that comes with a degree that I can brag about. Essentially, that's like the African mindset, right? So I went into uni like with my family being like, we want nothing less than first. We want to see you on that stage as like the best of the best. And in my head, I was like, great, but I'm signing up for 4 years of partying. Well, it's like in my head, I just thought 4 years of freedom, student loans, and just getting drunk. So I admitted, I think I came into the whole university thing with like the weirdest mindset anyway. I assumed that at some point I'll just swindle it first. Obviously, that didn't transpire in my undergrad. Like I had like the mental breakdown, I had a breakup. Everything kind of fell apart. And then got a third, which obviously my family were not happy about. My mum went crazy. So in my head, I just thought, I need to make up for this. I need to get a better degree.
You know what my parents would have said? My parents would have said like, they either would have said nothing, or always said, I'm never too old to get a beating,
No joke. I'm happy I told it to my mum over the phone because I could swear she screamed so much she cried. Like the fact that I
couldn't.
She was like, "Don't tell anyone in the family you finish uni yet. Don't tell." I was like, "Raw, are you that? Is it that bad?" Like I was gutted, obviously. Like I was seeing my fiance at the time. She was obviously just casual things, and like she was like giving me a cuddle. And I'm just like, this is the least manliest thing anyone could do. I'm literally like ice watering. I failed at life. I've got a third. And you know what the baddest thing was? The uni gifted me that third because of the mental breakdown. Because I got 2-1 in the year before that. So they were just like, obviously you can smash it. Something went wrong and that's why you got a third. And the worst part about the product design degree I was doing at the time is only your final year counts. Everything else is basically like mock grades until your final year. Your final year is when you get fully graded. So basically they were just like, we know you could do it. Like we just know that you
thought you had 2 years.
Yeah, I thought I had.
You just thought you had 2 years for free. You were like, calm.
And then I got myself a placement year, which I basically I run my own part-time branding consultancy, and I was going around to small businesses and then stuff. So like, I came back to uni feeling like, I'm ready, and obviously certain devil worshippers in my life just dropped a ton of bricks on me, but it is how it is. And so in my head I was like, I need to go do a master's. I don't care how I do it. And like I'll talk to like tutors from Trent, obviously, because if you stay at Trent, you get 25% discount on your masters if you come from undergrad and all this things. Like, they're trying to swindle everyone to go do a PhD and live their life at that uni. Anywho, so I was like, I can only go to Trent. I can either only do that or redo the degree. Found out that you can't resit a degree that you've completed in the UK. It's just not allowed. Like once you complete the degree, you can't resit it. So I was about to go to University of Derby, and then they sent me an email saying, if you've completed the degree, unfortunately, we can't take you. Otherwise, we'd love to take you and like have you study here. So I didn't reply back to that email because I was just there like I could swindle it, but who am I swindling it for? Only to get halfway through and then they find out I actually completed it, Trent. So you can't do it. You can't undo your third here, sir. So I was like, crap. I've got basically like
you can't undo your crimes here.
Exactly, yeah. And then like because I completed the degree, I didn't know that. I'd stayed up so late, just desperately trying to get a passing grade. So like I didn't know that if I handed in that last piece of work, it would be basically like this is the nail in the coffin. If I knew that, I wouldn't have handed it in. But everything happens for a reason, right? So
yeah, man. I mean, I think you needed to fail. I think you needed to go through.
That was my biggest.
I think you needed to go through that. I think
I needed that because I DOSed too much for uni. Yeah, I needed that. I needed that slap in the face to try harder. I ended up going. That's when I started. Basically, like that's when I did what I should have done in my first year before I came to uni. Is actually go talk to tutors. Actually, like speak to people about the courses I want to do. So I'd come off product design. I actually have most of the skills and creative abilities I have is from that course, regardless of the fact that I pretty much failed it. I wanted to go into like branding and identity. I basically wanted to do a course that would help me start a business in something creative. So I wanted to do branding and identity masters. The lady was just like really excited, told me because I came from a product design course, blah, blah. And I was like, well, my issue is I got a third. And as soon as I said the third, her face dropped like, ugh. Why are you talking to me? Walk away from me. Like, the way she looked at me, I literally felt the ick in her eyes. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to fight. So I basically kept going, oh my God. Louis, when I say I bloody tried, I was applying for all types of courses. I was like trying to learn how to code at home and failing miserably. I was like learning how to, every day, I had my laptop in my desk, either trying to apply for a job or try and get to a master's at some university to get over this hump. And eventually I spoke to the entrepreneurship tutor, who is actually one of my supervisors for my PhD now. I spoke to him and then he was basically like, he heard me out and I told him what I did during my placement year and like I was running my own business and all stuff. He's like, that's actually really impressive. Most students don't think to do that. And I was like, so he was gassed about that. And I was like, but I got a third. And he was just like, I think you've got a business mindset and I think I can help you. So he gave me an unconditional offer for my master's. And I was just there like, damn. Literally, when the offer came through, I called my mum. She cried happy. She cried. She was so happy. And I was just like,
you can come home for Christmas now.
I know I love you. So she's telling everyone in the family, like, yeah, Sam finished his undergrad. They'll ask what grade, and she'll like skip over that question. She'll be like, he's actually going to do an entrepreneurship master's at Nottingham University. And I'm like, Nottingham Trent. She'll be like, at Nottingham University, one of them. She didn't want to say Trent because everyone said it was a poly, even though it's like one of the best. It had the best business school in the country, or one of the best business schools in the country.
You say Nottingham Business School and keep it ambiguous.
Like, I had to tell her like, okay, just say Nottingham Business, and then now that's all she uses. She just says like, oh, Trent or Nottingham Business School. Anyway, so I went in there and I bloody grafted. I was like, I've got to come out with a distinction. There's nothing less than a distinction. So I grafted every time. Every time I put a bit of work in, I was going in hard. And then it was the last term of my master's. I found out I was dyslexic. Came to the last term, and like one thing I kept getting feedback on was my presentation. My work was bad. Like my writing skills were really bad. But everything else, I was smashing it. So I got like everything else. Like if I had to present to someone or if I had to talk or anything like that, I got really good grades on that. And then they basically sat me down and said, "We don't know what's wrong with you, but fix it because this is terrible. Like your writing is terrible. Like your spelling, your grammar is horrible." So that's when I was seeing a mental health. I had mental health counselor at the time. He was just like, "Are you dyslexic, Sam?" And I was basically like, "I don't know. Like, I'm not special. Like, I'm not got like learning difficulties. Because in my family, it's like we don't do learning difficulties. Go to church and get better, and then go back to work. You idiots. Like those are the only options." So got the assessment. They said actually you are dyslexic, and because of that, in the university grading, if you have like a learning difficulty like dyslexia, you're graded similar to how international students are graded. So it's basically like you get less of your mark is based on presentation and more of it's like based on actual like the content of your work and what you're trying to say. So that's how I ended up getting like a distinction. I got the third highest grade in my business masters, and my mum was just gassed about that. Like I didn't even turn up for my undergrad my undergrad graduation, but this one, 3-piece Ted Baker's suit. I was kitted out. I was ready. I was so happy. Like, oh, it was amazing, bro. It was amazing. But then I went into like, my first job where it turned out my manager never even went to uni. So in his head, he was just like, I'm going to make you realize that your degree don't mean shit. And that's basically why
Yeah.
I realized that,
It's true, man.
After all of that, it didn't even matter. Like, after all of that, it didn't matter. But I learned a lot of skills in that journey, dude. A lot of skills.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. I think, yeah. I think you learned a lot on the way that prepared you for work life.
Yeah, 100%.
But for me, it was like marketing, and I remember going into my first job, they were saying CPM, and I was like, my guy, I don't know all these letters. Like, what are you on about? Like, I didn't know anything about digital advertising at all.
Yeah.
And it was just all learned on the job. And I was just like, I've been scammed. 40K down the drain.
And it keeps going up. It keeps going up. I checked it.
I'm not even going to go into that because that's a whole hour we can chat about it.
I refuse to pay it off. Take it to our 750. I refuse to pay it off because I am not going to be the first one to pay it. And then Labour come in and go, student loans cancel. And I'm just sat there like,
we're not
give me my money back.
We're gonna go rant, but no. But dude, we're gonna rant. I can't talk about that. I'll go red. But I know we've run over an hour 10, so I want to ask you. So what do you want from this pod? What does success look like for you in this pod? No, we touched on it earlier, but what do you want this to be?
All right, let's put some numbers to these, right? I want 1,000 subscribers. Oh, that's so low. 10,000 subscribers at some point this year. I want 10,000. I don't think that's going to happen, but we're going to try at some point this year.
We can try. I mean,
we can try. We can try. It'll be sick if we get to the end of the year. It's like 200K. I'm just there like, hey, yo, that notice period is looking pretty cute right now. Anyway, the main thing I want from this is to be able to look at my performance before we started the pod. And then look at my performance based around like my business and how much it grows by and what I'm doing, the amount of effort I'm putting in, the amount of benefits I'm getting out of it. I want to look at that and I want to be able to compare it to during the pod, and I want to see a dramatic improvement in the output of the businesses and the stuff I'm doing. I want to see that. That's success for me because I think that's what this is going to hold me, you, our viewers, our listeners. I think that's what's going to help hold them more accountable. And I think that comes onto the third piece is I would love at least at some kind of like halfway point, maybe like not halfway point, but at some point like next year or something, I'd love to know that one of our listeners or viewers has like made something good of themselves based on what we've been saying or based on our experiences, and they can like come to us and maybe we'd have them on as like a guest. We could talk about like how great their new business idea is or how good things have been going since they've been listening. And it would be nice not just to like have someone, you know, tell us we're awesome, but it would be nice to feel like there's value to what we've been doing.
Yeah,
outside
absolutely.
of what we want to achieve.
Absolutely, I think that's very good. Yeah, I think for me, again, I want to we become way better podcast hosts than we are now. I want to view this messy piece of shit a year from now and be like, what the fuck did we talk about? Like, I want us to look at this and think it's shit, because that means we're significantly better.
Yeah, true.
And a lot of people say like, I see a lot of comments on YouTube on pods and stuff, because there's a lot of shit podcasts, right? But I believe in what we're doing. And a lot of people say, you need a license to do a podcast or whatever. But I think we're both the same mindset of like, you don't need you don't stop waiting for permission to do what you want. So I'm happy that we're both doing this. And again, I hope we see growth. Yeah. So A, us as podcast hosts, B, like you said, I want it to document the value, document our journeys of our businesses, and think coming with that is that we're consistent in our posting of this as well. Yeah. I think consistency is the key, and I think the rest will fall under it. I think if we've got that as a solid sort of value for the Evolve podcast, I think the rest will fall in place. Like, would I like a YouTube 100K plaque? Obviously I would, but I know that comes with time. Yeah, I want a plaque.
Give me that shiny. I want something here. Something here, you know? Something nice.
bro, this is the
Give me that
space.
shiny, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that would
but,
put something here, maybe another one here. Why not?
yeah, but I obviously I want those things to come, but you know,
Yeah.
there's so many podcasts that you don't hear pop off until they're like, 300 episodes in, and I'm willing to do that. I think a really good conversation that we are going to have is I've been reading Cal Newport's book So Good They Can't Ignore You, and I think there's some really good learnings in that. I think we're going to talk about, you know what, let's talk about that in the next episode, because I think I've learned so many. I'll send you some things so you can get up to speed, but I think there's some really good learnings that I want to chat about. Audiobook is fine.
I'll do audiobook.
But I think there's some really good learnings that I think will help a lot of people, and I think a lot of people, even if you're considering, I think if you're even in your career 9 to 5, or even thinking about doing business, I've like read 100 pages of this book, and it's confirmed a lot of things for me. So we'll go into that. But like I said, I think that this pod can help a lot of people. I really believe in what we're doing, because we're being very authentic. And I think, again, I know this has been more of like an intro to both of us and our backgrounds, but I think we needed it so people know who we are, what we're about. And then, next week we can talk about, things that we're doing for our business and things like that, and have more of a structure. So this one's just...
Yeah, this one's for the bin, bro. This is for the recycling bin. This is just so you know we're here.
This is what we're about. But it's fine.
This is it.
Look, but I think you have to be willing to be shit at things to be good. So
100%.
Just bear with us, please, because we're trying, okay? But yeah, this one's probably been a bit all over the place, but you know what? I like it.
I've enjoyed this catch up with my bro.
I've really enjoyed it. I've
enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what this becomes, what it turns into, and who we become on the way. So I think we should close on that point.
Yes, we should. We should do an outro. Let's make one up.
We should do an outro. Guys, Instagram, The Podcast Evolve. On TikTok, The Podcast Evolve. Any questions, emails, comments, The Podcast Evolved at gmail.com. Also follow our businesses, Xander Studios, XNDR Studios on Instagram, and Anxious Extrovert. Sam, anything else to add?
Ladies, my personal Instagram DMs, stay out of it. I'm getting married. That's it. We're good.
Damn sure.
Started off the market.
Out of my mouth.
Oh,
bro! Oh my god! I thought I was gonna take a left turn. I was like, bro, your wedding's
just like she's outside the door, like, watch what happens. Watch me take 50% of all of it. Nah, it's
out of mine as well. But no, it's going to my DM. All right,
I'm out. Guys, love you.